Hey guys, welcome back to Sailing Lucy and Nick. In this video, we're jumping back to take a deeper dive into the electrical system refit, and we'll be walking you through the gear we chose for the install, from batteries and charging to monitoring and why we picked each component. If you're planning your own boat electrical upgrade, this one's for you. Check out our other video to see some action of the install and some interesting surprises we found along the way, and as always, thanks for watching. If you've not come across us before, I'm Lucy and this is Nick. We have both spent the past 3 years on and off a variety of boats, from narrowboats to dinghies and crossing the Atlantic on a much larger boat. We are now taking on a different challenge, sailing from the UK to Australia on a 46-foot sailing yacht. Oh, and we forgot to mention that we have another crew member. Meet Tully, our four-legged salty sea dog who loves dolphins, swimming and chasing balls. We love sharing all our adventures with you, so feel free to like and subscribe to keep the videos coming.
Figure I'm going to give you a bit of a rundown of the things that we're putting in our electrical system. I'll start off with I suppose the biggest expense for anyone, which is going to be your new batteries. We've opted for the Fogstar Eco batteries. These, at the time that I bought these a little while ago. They were on offer and they were a really good opportunity for us to get a lot of amp hours for not very much money. I had looked at the Renogy batteries, but we decided they're based on like a pouch cell technology, similar to the batteries you find in your phone and your small devices. We decided that actually they're more like batteries these days. The lithiums are a lot more safe than they used to be, but pouch cells are susceptible to vibration and other things, so we decided that we'd go for something with prismatic cells, and these I believe they're either cylinders or prisms. I can't precisely remember. Basically they're not pouch technology, so the Renogys were slightly smaller than these, but we have decided in terms of a form factor these are a good size for us. They're about the same size as the lead acid batteries we're taking out. They're slightly taller. And these are each 314 amp hours, so we're going to have two of these in parallel, which is going to give us a total of 628 amp hours, which we're hoping is going to be enough to run our boat. The cables from the battery are then going to go into these two units. In fact, if I put them this way around, this is the way they're going to go in. They slot together nicely. They're part of the Lynx distributor platform from Victron. We're going to put the power from the battery straight in here, and I'm actually going to take a separate output directly from the battery feed with its own dedicated T-class fuse to run the inverter. I want that on its own thing because I couldn't fit any T-classes into the Lynx distributor, which is set up for mega fuses, and the rest of the boat is going to run off these and some other bus bar material, which I will show you in a bit. The next bit of our system is the distribution. So we're going to have a couple of breaker switches, battery shutoffs, one for each battery, and some fuses that are going to go on the terminals so that we protect the cables coming from the batteries to here. They're going to go straight into this power in, which is just two big 1000 amp hour 1000 amp bus bars, and we're going to take a direct feed from this via its own dedicated T-class fuse for the inverter, which I'll show you in a minute. System's then going to go into this distribution box, the Lynx distributor, which is set up to run mega fuses. So we'll be running all of the rest of the boat systems off this block here with some additional bus bars plugged into a couple of these legs. So that will be running the rest of the system for us. The reason why we've gone with the Victron stuff is for ease of install, and actually the price point of these from Photonic Universe. It was actually, in order to put in bus bars this highly rated to get a retail unit, that the difference wasn't enough in my opinion to justify the awkwardness and headache of trying to fit fuses in between two sets of like bus bar and studs. So this was a nice and simple way for us to do it, where it's a bit more plug and play. So we have gone that route. I'll show you what's next. This is the inverter that we've gone for. We've gone for a Renogy 3000 watt inverter, which is going to take our battery power and convert it into AC and step it up to the 230 volts, 240 volts that we need to run the mains appliances on the boat. So this is part of our redundancy plan for our stove. We will be having a air fryer, which we already use quite a lot. We'd be sad to lose that if we were off grid. And we're also going to be having an induction stove top that we can get out. This is just so that we can feel, at the moment we're running on two, I'll show a picture or something over the top, camping gas, I think they're 709 or 907 gas bottles, and I'm not confident in how easy these are going to be to get a hold of when we're out there. So I mean, we'll happily adapt and work our way through. If we need to get different regulators and different bottles, then so be it, we will. Just in case we were to run out of gas, we can therefore carry on as per normal. Thinking back, when I was designing this system, I bought this because it was on a great price, so I was like, right, I'll just get that and I'll figure the rest out afterwards. It's been an interesting way to do it, and it's made me learn really quickly. I think if I was doing a boat installation again, if I was doing it from scratch, the boat currently runs on 12 volts, but if you're looking at doing major off-grid where you're going to be using a lot of mains from the inverter and you're going to be using a big inverter, I'd potentially consider doing batteries in series so that you can run on 24 volt, a couple of those in parallel. Just because the price of the actual cable to run this, we're going to be running it on 95 square mil. And 10 meters of that was quite expensive. So it's not just the appliances that run you back. You've got to think about every part of the system. The fuse for this was more expensive, the holder, and then the cables it's only 10 meters and it's cost us a couple of £100. So, and that's me trying to get it on a good price through work. So it's definitely, if you're thinking about doing a lithium install, really consider your cable sizing from the onset, because that will, if you're working on a budget, that will quickly eat up your cash. This is going to be our monitor. I've gone for the Ekrano GX, which very similar to, you may have seen the Sailboat GX, which you get a separate screen for. This has inputs on the back for our rest of our appliances. So we're going to put all of the solar will be coming in here, the smart shunt I've got will be going in here, the DC to DC and the mains charger will all be running through here, so that we can monitor everything directly on this screen to see what we're doing. It's also got a few tank and temperature sensor inputs, so I've thought, well, we may as well make use of those if it's got the thing. We're going to be trying to work out the best way to get the senders from our water tank plugged into the back of here. I know it's a little bit different on the Bavarias. They show like quarter full, full, half full, 3/4. They only have 4 stages, so I think there are 4 different conductors they use in those. So working out maybe a little bit of computery to go in there, circuitry to translate it so that the Ekrano can understand it. The other thing that this has also got is a relay, couple of relay outputs. So for us, this will be used on the DC to DC charger side, and we don't want our lead acids continually dumping their voltage into the lithiums, because they'll run flat, and that's going to be our starter battery. So what we're going to do is put an ignition relay in, so that only when the engine is running will the DC to DC charger actually kick in. I've laid out on the table just some other bits that you can see here. We've got, this is the smart shunt we're going to be using. That's going to allow us to monitor the voltage in the batteries, the current going in and out. So everything else is going to use that as its kind of measuring point. So we've got here, we're planning on having, at the moment this boat has 1 solar panel that sits on top of the spray hood. We'll be keeping that one and adding 2 more. They're 200 watt flex panels. We're going to be putting 2 of those on top of the bimini. And then we've also got some Renogy Shadow Flux solid panels that we're going to be side mounting. We're going to see how that goes. Seen interesting boat installations with those, and we figured rather than getting a solar archway, which was going to be, you know, somewhere in the region of £5,000 or £6,000, we would try mounting them on the sides as like a dodger. So we will see how that comes together. So we've got the 150/45. We're going to be running the 3 panels in series, which should mean that if we're on an overcast day, it will boost the voltage for us rather than taking it all in parallel, and that should increase the amount of charge we can get. The 130 is going to be for the 2 rigid panels. And then this is our DC to DC charger. Now, those of you who are looking at lithium already will know that lithium batteries have no internal resistance when compared to a traditional lead acid battery, so the alternator will just continually dump as many amps as it can fit into the lithiums, and that can cook the diodes, it can overheat the alternator itself. So what our plan is to use a lead acid bank to start the battery and to put before as kind of like a moderator for the alternator. So that's going to put all of its normal current out of the alternator into those lead acids, and then the lead acids will go into this DC to DC charger, which will then allow us to charge the house lithium bank off the engine. We've gone for 50 amp. The alternator installed is 125 amp, and I didn't want to push it more than 50% of its capacity. We've gone for 50, so we've got room on the top end towards that 50%, but there's a strong chance that I will, on the software, decide that maybe we'll limit that to it just depends. We'll have to try it and see how efficient it is. The other thing worth noting is when you're doing that, the alternator has a cooling fan built in, and it's important to make sure that even if you're doing it in neutral, that you're going to get the engine revs high enough to make the cooling efficient enough to keep the alternator cool whilst it's charging. So one of our temperature sensors will be going onto the alternator to make sure we don't cook it. Those are the 4 things I've got there. 4 things. One I can't show you right now because it's currently installed on the boat is we are also going to use a Phoenix IP43 30 amp mains charger. That's going to be for when we're plugged into shore power. It's currently installed, but we will be programming everything with the lithium profile besides stuff that charges the lead acids. I suppose the last thing I'll say in this little section, I don't know how we're going to cut this together. We've been quite lucky. The Bavaria yachts from this era have a clear circuit diagram that you can find. If you yourself are on a Bavaria and you have the same panel as us, it's the 201 panel. I will put a link to it in the description somewhere. We are going to be kind of chopping and changing that out a little bit, and our current setup, we have a switch in place to start the motor from either the house bank or the starter, but we will be getting rid of that and relying solely on the starter bank. So yes, let's see how that goes. Yeah.